Hey, this is Rev. Got a minute? Imagine being depressed, like deep, dark depression for 3 years. And that's not all. Imagine during those 3 years, you were in constant pain. And during that 3 years, you also had uh, chronic fatigue to the point where emptying the dishwasher you would necessitate a break in between because you were just too tired to finish it in one go. Imagine feeling like you're going to spend the rest of your life there. Maybe some of you are in that place right now. And that's been the last 3 years of my life. Now, I'd just like to welcome you all to Sunday Stories. I'm going to share that story. And I'm also going to share how I wound up climbing out of the valley of the shadow of death. So I hope you'll stick with me. I'll try to be interesting and whatnot, but I mean, really, this is just me sharing what's happened in my life over the last few years. It kind of started when COVID happened and I had to close my jiu-jitsu studio. But things had been adding up to put me into a place where that was going to impact me worse than just losing my business, which is bad enough. Because over the last 10 years, I gradually watched the things that really meant a lot to me slip away. After years and years and years of leading churches and starting churches and preaching at events all over, I suddenly found myself with no outlet towards that part of my life. It's gone. I had no pulpit. I had nothing. And the jiu-jitsu studio had become kind of that place. I'd lived my whole life with this feeling of purpose, this intention, this feeling like my life mattered. And that kind of slowly drifted away, but at the jiu-jitsu studio, I was a black belt, I was a former pro fighter, I was the business owner, I was teaching kids, not just jiu-jitsu, not just kickboxing, I was teaching kids what it means to be a better human, what it means to grow up, values that they would keep for the rest of their life. I was spending time with people, I was encouraging people, I was leading and teaching, and on some level I was counseling people. All of the things that I used to do were now being done at the jiu-jitsu studio. And I loved it. So when that went away, all of the things in my life that had kind of given me purpose, they had all been transferred into this jiu-jitsu school, and they were all gone. And that hit me like a ton of bricks. I didn't only lose a business, I didn't only lose money, I didn't only lose a community, but I lost my self-worth. I lost the reason why I felt like I was put on this earth. And I'd been losing it all along. But this one crushing episode just brought all of that to a close. And I found myself in the darkest place I've ever experienced. I had friends that would come and visit me. I have an amazing wife. My best friend lives in community with us. I have the two funnest dogs, but I felt completely alone. I felt like I had no hope. I felt like my whole purpose for being alive was gone. And though I never contemplated the idea of ending things, I didn't really cherish the idea of living the rest of my life in that state anymore. I've never been there. And I know that some of you have. I just have to say the one thing that is really positive about that is that I'm starting to understand the struggle for a lot of you people. And so yeah, that was good. That was important. But really, man, it got so hard. And I spent most of the 3 years just sitting in the one comfortable chair in our living room and watching Ink Master. I could almost tell you every single person that's been on Ink Master because I've watched every season like probably 5 times. Forged in Fire, I can tell you all the different knives and swords and how to temper steel. I understand all of that now because I watched Forged in Fire, the whole thing, over and over and over again. I watched movies. I watched Thor Ragnarok probably 15 times. All I did was I sat in my chair and I tried to distract myself from all the pain that I was feeling. And I was lost. I didn't know where I was going to go. I didn't know what I was going to do. I wasn't contributing to the finances. My poor wife has this amazing job where she cares for people that are aging. And now she cares for people that are on hospice and their families. She's really invested in what she's doing, and you know, she was struggling because she didn't know how to help me. Things just kept getting worse and worse and worse. And I tried to climb out. I tried different things. Some things would work for a little while, but and then all of a sudden, I call it God, you may call it the universe, you may call it karma, whatever. But all of a sudden, these events started happening, piling up one after the other after the other. And man, it changed everything. It changed my life. The first thing that happened is I started going to this church in Ventura, Church of the Foothills. I did not want to leave the house, but I had a friend who would come and visit me. He used to be a student of mine at jiu-jitsu, and he would visit me and spend time with me, and I just knew I needed something. And he told me about the church that he was going to, and so I decided to go with him. Now, I didn't want to go with him. I didn't want to go anywhere. I didn't want to talk to anybody. I was just so caught up in this deep well of depression that I wanted to be alone. But I forced myself to go. And this church is so cool. The pastor, he just resonates with my soul. He's warm, he's welcoming, he's wonderful with the kids in Sunday school. It's just great. And I started to meet and interact with people. And though I didn't want to be there, I knew that I needed to do something that was going to help pull me in the right direction. My psychiatrist switched my meds up on me. All of a sudden, I started to feel a little bit better. I went to get a therapist to help me deal with the mental part of all of this. And I, I looked through all these biographies, and all of them say the same thing, family counseling, youth counseling, depression, all these different things. Every single one of them said the same thing, but this one biography said, and spiritual counseling. Well, I picked him because I didn't want to have something that has been historically such an important part of my life to be something that's out of the experience of the person that I was talking to. And the crazy thing is this wasn't on his biography at all. But when I started talking to him about the struggles I was having, no longer being able to wrestle, no longer being able to fight, no longer being able to skateboard, no longer being able to do jujitsu, he told me that he actually had written his doctoral dissertation on how the effects of no longer being able to play their sport had on athletes, and how they had to learn a new identity. It was like perfect. How did that happen? And after my first session, I went outside and I told my wife, and I actually started crying because I started to have hope for the first time in years. Around the same time, I'm on the phone with a friend of mine that I hadn't talked to for probably over 15 years. And we never met in person, but he's a friend from online. We used to talk a lot. And he asked what was up. I started telling him about the place I was in. And he said, John, let me send you this book, because I was in the same place you were. And this book really helped me. And so he sent me this book. It's called Finding Meaning in the Second Half of Life. And James Hollis is the author. And man, it was exactly what I needed to read. It was exactly what I needed to hear. It began to help me understand why I had gotten to the place that I was, and how desperately my soul, my spirit, the inner me was trying to climb out of a life that had just suppressed all the passion and the joy and the things that really mattered to me. Man, I can't tell you how impactful this book was. Just changed everything. And all this happened at the same time. And then a friend of mine, he does this consulting where he helps people to kind of figure out their life and what's important, and how to move forward. It's called Life Plan. And my friend Tom Clegg, who we'd been friends for over 30 years, he's been a coach and a mentor to me. But I thought this might help me to move forward, to answer what's next. And we'd planned to do it like over a year, maybe 2 years earlier, but it didn't work. And then we had planned to do it like in, I don't know, in August or so, or maybe July. And I told him, I said, look, man, I'm just really depressed. And eventually I was in such a bad place that I just said, look, man, I just can't do this right now. I just can't. And so we had to reschedule. Now, after I've gone through all this good stuff, the appointment clicked. And when I'm healthier, when I'm physically healthier, when I'm mentally healthier, when the chronic fatigue's gone and the depression has slowly dissipated to where it's not even there, then my friend Tom comes out and he walks me through this 2 days of at least 8 hours a day, and you work the whole time. But it's this process that takes you from where you've been in your life to what's next. And it covers your values, your learning style, the things that give you passion, the things that you need to do on a daily basis to keep yourself healthy, as a physical body, as an intellectual mind, as a part of a community, and spiritually. How do you do all these things to keep you healthy? And when we walked through that process, in the end, I came out with this amazing picture of who I've been, who I'm put on this earth to be, what I'm supposed to do. And part of that whole process is me being here talking to you. And this story has a happy ending because I'm doing great. I'm still in pain, but man, all the rest of the stuff is gone. So dealing with the pain isn't that big of an issue. I'm happy. I laugh. I hang out with my wife. I become a active part in the church that I was in, and I'm getting to share these stories and this Bible study on Mondays in Matthew. And I invite you to take a listen. You might enjoy it. All this stuff that's come out of this journey that I've been through. Now, this is a happy ending for me. Hopefully it affects other people in a good way. But I do understand that there's some of you that you've been in that place for a really long time. Maybe you can't remember not being in that place. I had no hope. Everything was just pain. And I was broken. And I just hope that if you're in that place, reach out to somebody. Reach out to me. I'd be happy to talk to you. Don't suffer alone. It just makes everything worse. And hey, maybe there is a light at the end of the tunnel. Maybe there is something good coming. All I know is I needed to go through that to get to this. And so I can look back at that and understand that that was an important part of me becoming the man that I think God wants me to be. And not the most exciting story in the world, but it's my story. And thank you for letting me share it with you. Join us every Sunday. Me, my friends, will be telling stories. Some of them a little bit more cheerful than this one. And please share this with anyone that you think might benefit from it. Please please comment. Just help me to put this together, because I feel like I'm doing what I'm supposed to do, and I'm being who I'm supposed to be, and I want to share that. So until next time, Rev loves you.